Hello, I'm Jeff Patterson. Today we're going to look at part 2 of our jab development series that we're putting together. If you haven't watched the first section, please go back and check that out because we're going to go over a lot of the fundamental basics on how to throw the jab and have a lot of power in the jab, good structure and alignment, all that stuff. So look at that. Today we're going to pick up and add a little bit of mobility to that, and then also a couple tricks and some strategies on how to sneak that jab in there when somebody's getting better at their defense. So the first thing we're going to talk about in your basic jab position. So I've got a good solid stance. I'm pushing off that back foot. My hand is out. I'm thinking about hitting with my 2 large knuckles here on my index and middle finger. And I've got that structure from the floor through my body to my shoulder and out through the hand. Once I've got that structure and I feel pretty solid in my jab, now we're going to talk about different ways of moving around. So you have your basic standard jab where you're just not even moving, you're solid in your stance. But now we're going to combine it with the shuffle step. And the shuffle step oftentimes will deliver the jab. So when you're throwing the jab, you're stepping into it and punching. So I'm trying to initiate with the punch and then I follow with the body, so it's harder to see the jab coming. If I step in like this and then throw the punch, it's a little easier to read. So when you come in with a punch, the hand comes out and then I follow with the jab or with the shuffle step here. Now you can link that together. So you might chase him back a little bit with that jab. Pop. And you're moving in, you're working that shuffle step repetitively over and over again. We can do the shuffle step like that, going forward, going back, going left, going right. When you're going back, same thing. I might stick him and then go back, or if they're coming in, I might go back and hit at the same time to try to slow them down or to stop their forward charge when they're coming in to attack. We got to get good at working the jab off the left and the right. So again, every time I stop, I want to be solid in that stance, both of my feet underneath me. I'm not crossing my foot over on this one or my foot over on this one. So when you move sideways, I've got a good foundation underneath me and I'm working that jab. So to the left, to the right, front and back. That's just the basic shuffle step. Now we can combine those two together. So on this one, maybe I start with that jab and I stick it in there good. I rocked him a little bit and he backs up. So I hit with the jab and then I step in with the shuffle step. Now you can do this mechanically. So usually I will teach it where you throw the jab and then shuffle step in. Okay, that's kind of the basics of how to link it together. But when you start getting a little more clear on the movement and a little bit more advanced in your technique, now on my recoil of the jab, I'm initiating the shuffle step. So you want to get that timing where I feed the jab and I come in, it's going to be a lot faster. So it's 1, recoil, shuffle in. That's the second way we can kind of link those together. Now we add a 3rd jab and more distance. So when we're doing this one, we're going to link all 3 of those together. So we have our standard jab, our shuffle jab, and our slide and step jab. The slide and step, of course, is going to give us the most range. You don't have to do them in this order, but this is just a little drill I like to play to help get these synchronized so you can link them all together. So again, you can start it off just by building the coordination where it's a jab, shuffle jab, slide and step jab. Now, once you have that and you feel comfortable with that, now you're going to link it up. So when you link it up, just like we did with the last one, I did a stationary jab. On my recoil, I start the 2nd jab, and then on my slide and step recoil, I start the 3rd jab. So it looks like this. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. So notice how when I'm doing this and I link it up, if you watch my feet here, the recoil on this one starts the shuffle, but the shuffle step never pauses here. So I'm going right from the recoil to the sliding step into the third jab. So all three of those are linked very smoothly together. 1, 2, 3. And it's a very fast, explosive way to cover a lot of ground with a jab. And it's great for your timing, if you're sparring, if you're working to try to close that gap, different ways to kind of travel in, get your jab, make a good solid setup for another punch. Now, once you start learning how to have a good stiff jab, it's fast, your timing's good, your structure's good, you're landing a lot of jabs, what's gonna happen oftentimes is, and this is a good note to make, if you're sparring with somebody, you're in a fight with somebody who has faster hands than you, you're going in, this is your basic guard, and every time they throw the jab, they're having a high percentage of landing. They're getting it in between there because you can't respond fast enough. If that's the case, the way to defend against that is you change your guard position. So instead of having that open pillar guard where they're slipping in with that jab, I'm going to bring that a little closer and close that line. So even though he might be faster than me, now it's a little harder for him to slip that hand in, and so I'm covering the jab. So this is the first idea I want you to think about. So if I start sticking that jab and I'm getting it in on them and they're having a hard time defending against this jab, if they start to counter that and close their pillars up so I can't get that in, that's the perfect opportunity to come in with that left hook. So they think the jab's coming in. Maybe I set up a couple jabs just to make them think it's coming, and then pop, come in with that left hook. Now, the next thing that's going to happen, this is setting up this next jab, which is kind of a cool technique. So I've made him scared of my jab. He's getting stuck with the jab. Now, I've landed a couple left hooks, and so he's worried about the left hook coming in. So now he's going to be bringing that hand back to try to defend that left hook. So what I want you to do on this version of the jab is I'm going to pick up that elbow like I'm going to throw the left hook. So it comes in here like I would be if I was coming over for the left hook, but as it comes up from here, I'm just going to fire that jab down the center line from that kind of hooking initiation. So instead of coming up here and throwing the hook, I come up here and then fire the jab right down the center. So Daniel, could I use you, please? So as we're doing this one, and let's do kind of this angle like right here so they can kind of see what we're doing. So on this one, if I've got a good strong jab and he's not able to keep up with me and I just start slipping it in there, he closes up his guard a little bit. Now that line is stuck, it's going to be real hard for me to get that jab in, okay? He's kind of ahead on me, so I start slipping in, or maybe I even fake the jab and come around. Now, when I start landing that hook and getting that punch in, and cover on this one. Good. Then I go right back down the center and see how you catch him with a jab. So it's a really sweet setup for when you get a good, solid, stiff jab and kind of a way to kind of sneak that in there. So this was part 2 of the jab development skills. Hopefully you're picking up some good tips and enjoying the training. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel below and like the video. If you have any comments or questions, shoot those down below as well. I'll try to get back to you on that. And we appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.